Monday, 10 a.m., Law Offices of Morrison & Associates, Boston. Daniel Hayes, 34, sits in a mahogany-paneled conference room that smells of old money and new leather. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Boston Harbor sparkles in the October sun. Everything in this room whispers wealth. Across from him sits Harold Morrison, 68, senior partner, executor of his grandmother's estate. Morrison's suit probably costs more than Daniel's monthly rent. And beside Daniel, looking equally uncomfortable, sits his younger sister, Grace Hayes, 29, a social worker who still drives the beat-up Honda Civic from college. Morrison, opening a leather folder. Thank you both for coming. I know this is difficult so soon after Margaret's passing. Daniel, it's been 3 weeks. We're managing. Grace, she was 87. She lived a full life. Morrison, indeed, your grandmother was a remarkable woman. I had the privilege of serving as her attorney for over 30 years. He slides documents across the table. Morrison, Margaret Hayes' estate is valued at approximately $47 million. The number hangs in the air like smoke. Daniel stops breathing. Grace's hand goes to her mouth. Daniel, I'm sorry, did you say 47, Morrison, million? Yes. Your grandfather built Hayes Manufacturing from nothing. When he passed 15 years ago, Margaret managed it brilliantly. Sold the company 5 years ago for a substantial sum. Invested wisely. Grace, we had no idea. She lived so modestly. That little house in Cambridge, the old car. Morrison, Margaret believed in simplicity. She once told me, money is a tool, not a trophy. Which brings us to the will. He opens another folder. Morrison, the estate is divided as follows. To Grace Lucille Hayes, $2 million, to continue her work serving others. Grace gasps. Morrison, to Daniel Robert Hayes, the remainder of the estate, approximately $45 million, with one condition. Daniel's heart pounds. Daniel, what condition? Morrison, I leave the bulk of my estate to my grandson Daniel, who has always been financially minded and entrepreneurial. However, I pray he will remember that wealth is not an end, but a means. To whom much is given, much is required. Use this money to build something that matters, not just something that profits. Morrison, looking up. That's the entirety of the condition. It's advisory, not legally binding. The money is yours to do with as you wish. Daniel can't process this. $45 million. $45 million. Grace, turning to him. Danny, that's life-changing. Daniel, I don't understand. Why the difference? Why did she leave you $2 million and me $45 million? Morrison, she addressed that specifically. May I? He reads from a letter. Margaret's letter. Grace has never chased money. She's rich in ways that matter. Rich in compassion. Rich in purpose. Rich in love. She doesn't need $45 million. She'd give it all away within a year. I'm giving her enough to never worry about bills while doing the work she loves. Daniel is different. He's brilliant with business, ambitious, driven. I'm giving him this opportunity not because he's more deserving, but because I believe he has the potential to do something extraordinary. The question is, will he use this wealth to serve himself or to serve others? My prayer is that he chooses wisely. Money reveals character. It doesn't create it. I'm trusting Daniel with this responsibility because I believe in who he can become, not just who he is. The words land like a challenge. There are some charitable bequests, $500,000 to her church, $250,000 to Grace's nonprofit, various smaller gifts. But the bulk goes to you, Daniel. Congratulations. Congratulations. Like he won the lottery, which, in a way, he did. Grace, Danny, this is amazing. You can do so much good with this. But Daniel's mind is already racing. $45 million. He could quit his job, buy a house, no, a mansion, travel the world, never worry about money again, retire at 34, live like the trust fund kids he's always envied. Or he could invest it, start the tech company he's been dreaming about, build an empire, turn $45 million into $100 million, into generational wealth. Or, his grandmother's words, use this money to build something that matters. But what if what matters to him is security, success, never being poor again? Morrison, the paperwork will take a few weeks to finalize, taxes, transfers, etc. But effectively, the money is yours. Do you have any questions? Daniel has 1,000 questions. He asks none of them. Daniel, no, thank you. Morrison, your grandmother was very proud of you both. I hope you'll honor her memory and how you steward this gift. They stand, shake hands, walk out into the Boston afternoon. On the sidewalk, Grace turns to Daniel. Are you okay? You're pale. I inherited $45 million, Grace. I don't know how to process that. Grandma believed in you. She knew you'd do something good with it. What if I don't want to do something good? What if I just want to be rich? Do you? Daniel doesn't answer. Daniel's apartment that night. Daniel lives in a modest one-bedroom in Somerville. The furniture is IKEA. The TV is 5 years old. The fridge has a light that flickers. He's been making it in Boston for 12 years, working as a financial analyst. Decent salary, nothing spectacular. Always dreaming of the big break. Always one rung below where he wants to be. And now, $45 million. He opens his laptop, Googles, what to do with $45 million inheritance. The results are dizzying. Invest in index funds, buy real estate, start a business, hire a wealth management team, charitable giving for tax breaks. His phone rings. His best friend from college, Ryan. Dude, Grace just told me, 45 million? Are you serious? Yeah. Danny, that's insane. You're rich, like actually rich. What are you going to do? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Quit your job, buy a Ferrari, get a penthouse. This is the dream, man. My grandmother left a note, said to use it to build something that matters. You will. You'll matter because you're a multimillionaire. Danny, don't overthink this. You won the lottery. Enjoy it. After they hang up, Daniel sits in silence. The apartment feels smaller, like he's outgrown it in a single day. He walks to his window, looks out at the modest neighborhood, families, regular people, the life he's lived for 34 years. And he realizes that life just ended. The question is, what begins now? Tuesday, Daniel's office. Daniel sits through a budget meeting. His boss, Sharon, is talking about Q4 projections. Everyone else is taking notes, concerned about year-end numbers. Daniel can't focus. He's thinking, I have more money than this entire company's annual revenue. Sharon, Daniel, your thoughts on the Henderson account? Daniel, yeah, I think we should, Sharon, are you okay? You seem distracted. Daniel, I'm fine, just tired. But he's not fine. He's sitting in a meeting about thousands of dollars when he has millions. It feels absurd. At lunch, his colleague Jennifer stops by his desk. Jennifer, hey, a few of us are grabbing lunch at that new Thai place. Want to come? Daniel, how much is it? I don't know, like $15? $15. 2 days ago, he'd have calculated whether he could afford it. Now, he could buy the entire restaurant and not notice. Yeah, I'll come. At lunch, his coworkers complain about rent, student loans, credit card debt, normal problems. Daniel says nothing, because his problems just became very, very different. Wednesday, meeting with financial advisor. Daniel sits across from Thomas Brennan, a wealth management specialist recommended by Morrison. Daniel, $45 million is significant wealth. With proper management, you could live very comfortably on the interest alone. We're talking $1.5 to $2 million annually without touching the principal. So I could just never work again? Correct. Though I'd recommend some diversification. Real estate, stocks, bonds, maybe some venture capital. But yes, effectively, you're set for life. Set for life. At 34. Have you thought about your goals? What you want this money to do? That's why I'm here. I don't know. Well, there are essentially 3 approaches: preservation, growth, or philanthropy. Most clients do a combination. What would you recommend? Honestly, given your age and the amount, I'd suggest aggressive growth. You could turn 45 million into 100 million in 10 years with the right investments. Build generational wealth. Set up your future children, grandchildren for life. And philanthropy? Admirable, but Daniel, you have an opportunity here that most people never get. You can secure your family's future for generations. Charitable giving is great for tax purposes, but I wouldn't give away the principle. Maybe establish a foundation, donate some of the earnings, but protect the core. My grandmother said to use it to build something that matters. And you will. Financial security matters. Legacy matters. You can do a lot of good while also doing well for yourself. It sounds reasonable, logical, smart. So why does it feel hollow? Thursday evening, dinner, with Grace. Daniel meets Grace at a small restaurant in Cambridge, the kind of place where they've eaten 100 times. Cheap, good food, casual. But tonight, it feels different, because Daniel could buy this restaurant, could buy 10 of them. How are you holding up? Honestly, I'm overwhelmed. I met with a financial advisor. He said I could turn $45 million into $100 million. Do you want to? I don't know. Part of me thinks, yes, why not? Grow it, secure everything, never worry again. And the other part? Daniel remembers Grandma's letter. Use it to build something that matters. But Grace, what if what matters to me is security? What if I don't want to be some philanthropic saint? What if I just want to be comfortable? Then be comfortable. Nobody's judging you. You wouldn't do the same though. You'd give it away. Probably, but I'm not you. We're wired differently, Danny. You've always been the ambitious one, the one who wanted more. Is that bad? No, but it's worth asking. More of what? More money? More stuff? Or more meaning? What are you going to do with your $2 million? Set up a fund for the nonprofit I work with. We serve homeless families. $2 million could change hundreds of lives. I'm so excited I can barely sleep. Daniel feels a pang of something. Envy? Shame? He has 20 times what Grace has, and she's more excited about her portion than he is about his. Danny, can I ask you something? When was the last time you were genuinely happy? Not comfortable, not successful, happy. He thinks. I don't know. I think Grandma knew that about you. I think that's why she left you this money. Not to make you comfortable, but to force you to ask, what do I actually want? And what if the answer is to be rich? Then you already are. The question is, now what? Friday morning, grandmother's house. Daniel drives to Cambridge, to his grandmother's house. It's small, neat, perfectly maintained. The house of someone who had $47 million, but lived like she had $47,000. He has a key, lets himself in. The house smells like her, lavender and old books. Photos everywhere, not of possessions, but people, family, friends, moments. He walks through rooms filled with modest furniture, worn rugs, simple decorations. Nothing screams wealth. In her bedroom, he finds her Bible. It's annotated, highlighted, falling apart from use. He opens it randomly. Luke 12:15. Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Highlighted, underlined. A note in the margin. Remind Daniel. His throat tightens. He keeps flipping. Matthew 6:19-21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Another note. This is true freedom. He finds a journal on her nightstand, opens to the last entry, dated 2 weeks before she died. Entry. I'm leaving Daniel the money. Grace doesn't need it. She's already rich in all the ways that matter. But Daniel is still searching, still chasing, still believing that success will fill the void. I pray this inheritance becomes a crossroads, not a cushion. I pray it forces him to ask the hard questions. What do I value? What do I serve? What will I build with my one life? Money is the ultimate test. It reveals what you worship. I'm trusting you, Danny, not because you're perfect, but because I believe you're capable of something extraordinary if you choose the narrow path instead of the wide one. Choose well, my boy. Your soul is worth more than $45 million. Daniel closes the journal, sits on her bed, and for the first time since the lawyer's office, he cries. Saturday morning, the decision point. Daniel is in his apartment, surrounded by paperwork, investment proposals, real estate listings, wealth management plans. Everything points in one direction. Grow it, protect it, secure it. His phone buzzes. Text from Ryan. Found a sick penthouse in Back Bay. 4-bed, 3-bath, harbor view. $6.5 million. You should totally buy it. Another text from his mother. Danny, I'm so happy for you. Your grandmother always believed in you. Make her proud. Another from the financial advisor. Thought about our conversation? I have some excellent investment opportunities if you're ready to move forward. Daniel stares at his laptop screen. Open tabs. Luxury real estate. Private wealth management. How to invest $50 million. Best cars under $500,000. And one other tab, open for hours. Grace's Hope House, Homeless Family Services. Grace's nonprofit, chronically underfunded, doing incredible work, constantly struggling. He clicks on their needs page. $500,000 would build a new shelter wing. $100,000 would fund a year of job training programs. $50,000 would provide legal services for families. Needs that $45 million could meet without him even noticing. But why should he? It's his money, his inheritance, his future. His grandmother's voice. To whom much is given, much is required. Daniel closes the laptop, stands up, paces, and finally whispers to the empty room, "What would Jesus do with $45 million?" The room goes still. The traffic noise from the street, gone. The hum of the refrigerator, silent. The flicker of the old light bulb, frozen. Daniel looks up. The light has changed. Softer, golden, like dawn, but timeless. Voice behind him. "A good question. Would you like to see?" Daniel spins around. Jesus sits on his couch. Not glowing, not otherworldly, just present. Human. Carpenter's hands folded, eyes kind, but penetrating. Daniel, backing up. "This isn't real. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm hallucinating." Jesus. "Or you're finally seeing clearly. You asked what I would do with $45 million. I'm here to show you what I did with much less." Daniel. "Who are you?" Jesus. "You know who I am, Daniel. You've known me since you were a child. Sunday school, confirmation, Christmas Eve services when your grandmother dragged you. But you never really asked me anything that mattered. Until now." Daniel. "This is impossible." Jesus. "So is a universe that exists from nothing. So is love that makes people sacrifice everything. So is a widow who gave 2 coins and changed history. Impossible things happen every day, Daniel. Will you see them, or keep chasing zeros in a bank account?" Daniel. "I'm losing my mind." Jesus. "You're finding it, actually. Come, walk with me." He extends his hand. Daniel stares at it. Scarred, calloused, real. Daniel. "Where?" Jesus. "To moments that matter, so you can see what money really is before you decide what to do with it." Daniel hesitates, then takes his hand. The apartment dissolves. The rich young ruler. They're standing on a dusty road. Sunlight. Ancient Judea. The smell of olive trees and desert wind. Daniel. "Where are we?" Jesus. "A moment I lived. Watch." Down the road, a young man approaches. He's maybe 25, wearing expensive robes, gold rings, the bearing of someone who's never lacked anything. Behind him, servants, attendants, the trappings of wealth. A younger Jesus, the Jesus who walked this earth, is teaching a crowd. The young man pushes through. Rich young man, kneeling. "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Young Jesus. "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. You know the commandments. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother." Rich young man. Teacher. "I've kept all these since I was a boy." Young Jesus looks at him, and Daniel sees something in that look. Not contempt, but love. Deep, aching love. Young Jesus. "One thing you lack. Go, sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." The young man's face changes. Shock, confusion, pain. Rich young man. "Everything? But I have great wealth. My father's estate, my businesses, my..." Young Jesus. "I know. That's the problem." Rich young man. "I can give some. I can be generous. I already donate to the synagogue. I help the poor." Young Jesus. "I'm not asking for some. I'm asking for surrender. You can't serve both God and money. You have to choose." The young man stands, looks at Jesus, looks at his servants, his rings, his security, and slowly, heartbroken, he walks away. Jesus watches him go, and Daniel sees something stunning. Jesus is sad. Not angry, sad. Young Jesus to his disciples. "How hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle." The disciples are shocked. Then who can be saved? With man, it's impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God. The scene fades. Present Jesus and Daniel stand in the empty road. He walked away. Yes. Why? Why couldn't he give it up? Because his money owned him. He thought he owned it, but it was the other way around. He'd spent his whole life building security, and the idea of releasing it terrified him more than missing eternal life. That's insane. Is it? You've had $45 million for 5 days, and you're already calculating how to turn it into $100 million. You're already looking at penthouses and investment portfolios. The money doesn't own you yet, but it's wrapping its fingers around your heart. Can you feel it? Daniel can. The tightness, the fear of losing it, the fantasies of what it could become. Jesus. I looked at that young man with love. I saw his potential, but I also saw his prison. And I see yours too, Daniel. You're standing at the same crossroads he was. Will you use the money, or will it use you? Daniel. But you told him to give it all away. I can't do that. Jesus. Can't or won't? Daniel. That's not fair. I have responsibilities, a future. Jesus. And he didn't? Daniel, I'm not telling you to give all $45 million away. I'm asking you to hold it loosely enough that you could if I asked. There's a difference between owning money and being owned by it. Daniel, how do I know the difference? Jesus, if losing it would devastate you, it owns you. If losing it would disappoint you but not destroy you, you own it. Which is true for you? Daniel doesn't answer. Jesus, come, let me show you something else. The widow's 2 coins. The scene shifts. They're in the temple, Jerusalem, crowds of people, the treasury. Wealthy people are making offerings, large bags of coins, announced loudly, applause from onlookers. Rich man number 1, I give 1,000 denarii to the temple. Applause. Rich man number 2, I give 2,000. More applause. Then, in the corner, a widow, old, frail, wearing clothes that have been mended a dozen times. She approaches the offering box quietly. She opens her hand. 2 small copper coins, lepta, worth almost nothing. She drops them in. No announcement, no applause. Most people don't even notice, but Jesus does. Young Jesus, calling his disciples, come here, see this? They gather. Young Jesus, I tell you the truth, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Disciple, but Master, she only gave 2 coins. Those men gave thousands. Young Jesus, they gave leftovers. She gave everything. Who made the greater sacrifice? The disciples are silent. Young Jesus, God doesn't measure gifts by size. He measures them by cost. What did it cost those rich men? Nothing. They'll eat well tonight, but what did it cost her? Everything. That's the gift God sees. The widow walks away, unnoticed by everyone except Jesus. Present Jesus and Daniel watch her disappear into the crowd. Jesus, do you see? Daniel, she gave everything. Jesus, and those rich men gave spare change. Who do you think slept with peace that night? Daniel, but she's poor now. She has nothing left. Jesus, she has everything that matters. She has faith that God will provide. She's not enslaved to security. The rich men will go home and count their coins, worried about losing what they have. She'll go home free. Daniel, so I should give everything away and be poor? Jesus, I'm not asking you to be poor. I'm asking you to be free. There's a difference. Poverty isn't virtue, but neither is wealth. What matters is what owns you. Daniel, I don't want to be owned. Jesus, then prove it. Come. The parable of the rich fool. The scene shifts again. They're in a field, harvest time. A wealthy farmer stands overlooking his land, barns bursting with grain, fields heavy with crops. Wealthy farmer, to himself, I have so much grain, I don't have room to store it all. What should I do? He paces, thinking. Wealthy farmer, I know. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll store all my grain and goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, be merry. He smiles, satisfied. Then God's voice echoes across the field. God, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? The farmer freezes. His face drains of color. God. This is how it will be for anyone who stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. The scene fades. Present Jesus and Daniel stand in the empty field. Jesus. That farmer spent his life building security, bigger barns, more grain, more wealth. And the night he finally felt safe, he died, and it all went to someone else. Daniel. That's terrifying. Jesus. It should be. Daniel, you're 34 years old. You just inherited $45 million. And your first thought was, how do I turn this into more? How do I build bigger barns? How do I secure my future forever? Daniel. What's wrong with security? Jesus. Nothing, unless you're securing the wrong things. You can't take money with you when you die, but you can send it ahead. Daniel. What does that mean? Jesus. It means invest in things that last. People, kingdom, love, justice, generosity. Those are the barns that matter, the ones that outlive you. Daniel. So I should just give it all away?
Jesus. I'm not giving you a formula, Daniel. I'm asking you a question. What are you building? Bigger barns that will rot, or treasure in heaven that lasts forever?
Daniel, frustrated.
I just want to be wise with it. I don't want to waste $45 million.
Jesus. And what do you consider waste? Helping the poor? Funding justice? Showing radical generosity? Or is waste anything that doesn't make you richer? The words hit like stones. Jesus. Come, one more thing. Zacchaeus. They're in Jericho. A crowd lines the street. Younger Jesus is walking through. In a tree, absurdly, sits a short man in expensive robes. Zacchaeus, a tax collector, wealthy, hated. Jesus stops beneath the tree, looks up. Young Jesus. Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. Gasps from the crowd. Tax collectors are traitors, sinners. Why would Jesus honor this man? Zacchaeus scrambles down, shocked, honored, terrified.
Zacchaeus, at his house, later.
Lord, I know what people say about me. I've gotten rich by cheating people, overcharging taxes, keeping the extra. I've built my wealth on injustice. Young Jesus says nothing, just looks at him with those eyes that see everything. Zacchaeus, I want to change, right now. Look, I'll give half my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anyone, I'll pay them back 4 times the amount. The crowd is stunned. Young Jesus, smiling. Today, salvation has come to this house, for the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Present Jesus and Daniel watch Zacchaeus begin distributing his wealth that very day. Daniel, he gave away half. Jesus, and repaid fourfold what he'd stolen. Do you know what that cost him? Probably 80 to 90% of his wealth. He went from rich to comfortable in one afternoon. Daniel, and you called that salvation?
Jesus.
Because he was freed. For years, his money was built on guilt and greed, and it owned him. But the moment he released it, the moment he chose generosity over accumulation, he found what he'd been searching for all along. Daniel. What? Jesus. Freedom, peace, purpose. The things money promises, but can never deliver. Daniel. But he still had money left. He didn't give it all away. Jesus. No, he gave sacrificially, but not stupidly. He still provided for his family. But Daniel, the key is, he held it loosely. He proved money didn't own him by being willing to release most of it. Daniel. So what's the right amount to give? Jesus. That's the wrong question. Daniel. What's the right question? Jesus. What would it take to prove you're free? What would it cost to show that your treasure is in heaven, not in a bank account? The scene fades. They're standing in a place beyond place. Light, peace, timeless.
Jesus. Daniel, let me ask you something. What do you want?
Daniel. Security, success, to never worry about money again. Jesus. You already have that. You have $45 million. You could live comfortably for life. So I'll ask again, what do you actually want? Daniel thinks, really thinks. Daniel. I want to matter, to feel like my life meant something. Jesus. And do you think $45 million will give you that? Daniel. It could, if I invest it right, build something, create a legacy. Jesus. A legacy of what? Wealth? Buildings? Businesses? Those will all crumble, Daniel. You'll die, your children will spend the money, and in 3 generations, no one will remember you built anything. Daniel. So nothing I do matters? Jesus. What you do for people matters. What you do for the kingdom matters. What you do with love, generosity, sacrifice, that echoes into eternity. But what you accumulate? Dust. Daniel. I don't know how to let go. Jesus. I know. That's why I'm here. Let me show you something. He gestures. Images appear, like visions. Vision 1. Daniel at 80, sitting in a massive mansion, alone, surrounded by wealth, but distant from everyone. His sister has passed. His friends are gone. He has everything and nothing. Vision 2. Daniel at 80, in a modest home, but surrounded by people whose lives he changed. Former homeless families who now have homes because of him. Kids who went to college because he funded scholarships. Communities transformed because he invested in people, not portfolios. Jesus. 2 paths, Daniel. Both futures are possible. Which one makes you rich? Daniel. Tears, the second one. But I'm terrified of the first one. Jesus. Why? Because I've spent my whole life chasing success, and I'm afraid if I stop, I'll realize it was all meaningless. Jesus. You're right. It was. But that doesn't mean your future has to be. What if I give generously and regret it? What if I look back and wish I'd kept more? In all my years walking this earth, I never met anyone who regretted giving too much. But I met hundreds who regretted giving too little. The rich young ruler haunted me, Daniel. Not because I judged him, but because I loved him, and he chose his money over me. Don't be him. What would you do if you were me, if you had $45 million? I'd ask, how much is enough? And everything above that, I'd invest in eternity. How much is enough? Only you can answer that, but I'll tell you this, it's a lot less than you think. He places a hand on Daniel's shoulder. Your grandmother left you this money as a test, not to see if you'd spend it wisely, but to see who you'd become with it. Money doesn't change people, it reveals them. The question is, what will it reveal about you? I don't want to be owned. Jesus. Then don't be. It's time to go back, Daniel. Your choice is waiting. Daniel blinks. He's back in his apartment. Same frozen moment, same open laptop. But he's different. He sits down, closes all the tabs except one, Grace's Hope House. He opens his banking app, looks at his current balance, modest, normal, then opens his email, drafts a message to the financial advisor. Mr. Brennan, thank you for your time and advice. I've decided to take a different approach with the inheritance. I'll be in touch soon about managing a smaller portion. The rest will be deployed differently. Best, Daniel Hayes. He sends it, then opens a new email to Grace. Grace, can we talk? I want to discuss Hope House's needs. All of them. Love, Danny. Send. Then one more, to Harold Morrison, the lawyer. Mr. Morrison, I'd like to set up a meeting to discuss establishing a charitable foundation with a significant portion of the inheritance. Can we talk this week? Thank you. Daniel Hayes. Send. He closes the laptop, sits back, and for the first time in 5 days, he breathes deeply. The apartment doesn't feel small anymore. It feels like exactly enough. Monday morning, meeting with Grace. Daniel and Grace sit in a coffee shop, the same one where they've met 100 times. So, what did you want to talk about? Hope House. You said you need $500,000 for a new shelter wing, $100,000 for job training, $50,000 for legal services. Yeah, we're applying for grants, fundraising, but it's slow. What if you had all of it, tomorrow? That would be a miracle. But Danny, we'd be able to double our capacity, serve twice as many families, actually change lives instead of just putting band-aids on poverty. Done. What? I'm writing a check for $650,000. Build the wing, fund the programs. Do it right. Danny, that's a huge percentage of your inheritance. It's 1.4%. I won't even notice it's gone, but you'll notice what it does. Are you serious? Completely. And Grace, that's just the start. I'm setting up a foundation. I'm keeping $5 million for myself, enough to be secure, invest wisely, live comfortably. The other $40 million, I'm giving it away over the next 10 years. $40 million? Homeless services, education, job training, clean water projects. I'm going to fund things that actually matter, and I'm going to do it in Grandma's name. Grace is crying now. Danny, do you know what this means? It means I'm finally free. They hug, and Daniel realizes this is the first time he's felt genuinely happy since he got the news. That afternoon, meeting with Morrison. Daniel, are you certain about this? You're proposing to give away nearly 90% of your inheritance.
Daniel, I'm certain. I'm keeping $5 million. That's more money than I ever dreamed of having. The rest goes into the Margaret Hayes Foundation for Justice and Mercy. Morrison, your grandmother would be, well, she'd be proud. But Daniel, this is a legally binding decision. Once you transfer the funds... Daniel, I understand. I want to do this. Morrison, may I ask what changed? 5 days ago, you seemed uncertain. Daniel, I realized something. My grandmother didn't leave me $45 million to make me rich. She left it to make me choose, and I'm choosing freedom over wealth. Morrison, smiling. She knew you'd figure it out. She told me once, Daniel has a good heart. He just needs to remember it's worth more than gold. I think she was right. 2 months later, the foundation launch. The Margaret Hayes Foundation holds its first official meeting. Conference room in a modest building in Cambridge. Present, Daniel, Grace, a board of advisors from nonprofits and churches, and a grant committee. Daniel, thank you all for being here. This foundation exists because my grandmother believed that wealth is a tool, not a trophy. We have $40 million to deploy over the next decade. Our mission? Fund projects that serve the poor, pursue justice, and reflect the generosity of Christ. Board member number 1. What's your giving strategy? Daniel, we're focusing on 4 areas: homelessness, education, clean water, and prisoner re-entry programs. We'll fund both established organizations and scrappy startups that need a shot. Board member number 2. And you're keeping how much personally? Daniel, $5 million, invested conservatively. I'm living off the interest and working full-time running this foundation. Salary is $75,000 annually. Grace, you're taking a pay cut to run a charity? Daniel, I'm taking a purpose increase. This matters more than my old job ever did. 6 months later, Hope House opening. The new shelter wing opens. 50 families will have beds tonight who wouldn't have otherwise. Daniel and Grace cut the ribbon. Local news covers it. Families cheer. A woman approaches Daniel afterward. She is maybe 30, holding a toddler. Mr. Hayes, I'm Maria. I stayed in Hope House 3 years ago. They helped me get back on my feet, find a job, get custody of my daughter back. I heard you funded this new wing. I did. You changed my life. My daughter has a home because of you. Thank you. She hugs him. The toddler waves. Daniel feels something he's never felt before. Wealth. Real wealth. Not in his bank account, in his soul. Part 6. The Transformation. 5 years later. Present day. The Foundation's impact. Daniel Hayes, 39, stands in front of a room full of donors and nonprofit leaders. Behind him, a presentation. 5 years of the Margaret Hayes Foundation. By the numbers. $32 million deployed. 127 organizations funded 14,000 families. Directly served 8 clean water projects in developing nations. 2,400 students received scholarships. 850 former inmates received job training and placement. 5 years ago, I inherited $45 million. I kept $5 million and gave the rest away. And I can tell you, it was the best investment I ever made. Impact stories. Photos of families in new homes. Students graduating college. Wells providing clean water in Kenya. Former inmates now employed and restored. People ask me if I regret giving away $40 million. The answer is no, because I've learned something. You can't outgive God. The more I've released, the richer I've become. Not financially, I'm still living on my $5 million, and it's plenty, but rich in purpose, rich in joy, rich in meaning. A hand raises. How much of your original $5 million is left? About $3.8 million. The rest has gone to additional giving beyond the foundation. Turns out, when you start practicing generosity, it becomes addictive. Laughter. Another donor. Do you ever wish you'd kept more? Daniel. Never. Not once. I have everything I need, and I get to spend my life watching money do what it was meant to do. Change lives. That evening, Dinner with Grace. Same restaurant, same booth, but everything is different. Grace. The presentation was incredible. Danny, do you realize what you've built? Daniel. We've built. You're the one doing the frontline work. Grace. You're the one who made it possible. Grandma would be so proud. Daniel. I think she knew. I found her journal after she died. She wrote that she was leaving me the money as a crossroads, not a cushion. Grace. And you chose well. Daniel. I almost didn't. For 5 days, I was planning penthouses and investment portfolios. I was going to build bigger barns. What changed? I asked the right question. Not what can I get, but what would Jesus do? And once I asked that, the answer was obvious. Which was? Hold it loosely, give it freely, invest in eternity. I can't take it with me, but I can send it ahead. Year 7, the letter. Daniel is in his office when an email arrives from an unfamiliar address. Subject, thank you from Kenya. He opens it. Photos load. A village, a well, children drinking clean water, smiling. Mr. Hayes, my name is James Kimani. I'm the village elder in Makutano, Kenya. 7 years ago, your foundation funded a clean water well in our village. Before the well, our children walked 6 kilometers each day to fetch water from a polluted river. Many got sick. Girls missed school because of water duties. Now, we have clean water 100 meters from our homes. Our children are healthy. Our girls are in school. Our community is thriving. I am writing to tell you, you saved lives. Children who would have died from waterborne disease are alive because of your generosity. Girls who would have been married off at 14 are now in university. You have never met us. You will probably never visit our village, but you changed our future. We pray for you every Sunday. We call you the man who shared his blessing. Thank you. James Kimani Daniel reads it 3 times, then closes his laptop, puts his head on his desk, and cries. Not from sadness, from overwhelming joy. This is what $40 million was meant for. Year 10, the full circle. Daniel, 44, sits in his grandmother's old house. He bought it from the estate, kept it exactly as she had it. Simple, modest, full of love. He's reading her Bible, the one with all the notes. He finds a passage he's read 100 times but never really understood. Matthew 6, 19 through 21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Her note in the margin, true wealth is what you give away. Daniel smiles. She was right. He's given away nearly all $45 million now. The foundation has distributed its final grants. The work is done. His personal $5 million has shrunk to about $2 million. He kept giving beyond the foundation, funding projects that moved him, helping individuals in crisis. And he's never been richer. His phone rings. Grace. Danny, I have news. Hope House just got a $10 million donation. Anonymous donor. We can expand to 3 more cities. That's incredible. The donor left a note. It said, inspired by the Margaret Hayes Foundation, generosity is contagious. Grandma was right. You can't outgive God. No, you really can't. 20 years later, Daniel, at 54. Daniel Hayes sits in a university auditorium. He's been invited to give the commencement address at Boston University. The banner, Living a Life That Matters. Daniel, 20 years ago, I inherited $45 million. I was 34, ambitious, and convinced that wealth would make me happy. I was wrong. The graduates listen. Daniel, I kept $5 million, gave away $40 million, and people thought I was crazy. My friends said I'd regret it. Financial advisors said I was foolish. But here's what I learned. The money I kept made me comfortable. The money I gave away made me rich. He clicks to a slide. Photos of the foundation's impact over 20 years. Daniel, this foundation has now deployed $40 million. But here's what's amazing. That money has multiplied. Organizations we funded have grown, served millions, inspired other donors. That $40 million has created over $200 million in economic and social impact. Slide. Families housed, students educated, wells built, lives transformed. Daniel, I could have invested that $40 million and maybe turned it into $80 million for myself. Instead, I invested it in people, and it turned into $200 million of kingdom impact. That's a return no hedge fund can match. He pauses. Daniel,
Jesus said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." For years, I thought that meant I should feel passionate about money and then give, but I had it backwards. It means invest in what matters and your heart will follow. I gave to things I cared about and my heart came alive. Slide. Daniel with his family. He's married now, 2 kids, fostered 3 more. Daniel. I'm not a millionaire anymore. I live in a modest house, drive a used car. My kids go to public school, and I've never been happier. Because I learned the secret the world doesn't want you to know. Generosity is the path to joy. He looks out at the graduates.
You're about to enter a world that will tell you success is about accumulation. Get the job, make the money, build the portfolio, secure the future. And none of that is wrong, unless it becomes the point. Here's my challenge. Decide right now what enough is. How much do you need to live well? And commit that everything above that, you'll give away. Don't wait until you're rich. Don't wait until it's comfortable. Start now. Because generosity isn't about the amount. It's about the habit. He clicks to his final slide, a quote from his grandmother. Money is a tool, not a trophy. Use it to build something that outlasts you. My grandmother left me $45 million and a choice. I chose to build treasure in heaven instead of bigger barns on earth. And 20 years later, I can tell you, I have 0 regrets. The auditorium erupts in applause. A young graduate approaches Daniel. She's maybe 22, nervous. Mr. Hayes, can I ask you something? Daniel, of course. Graduate, I just got my first real job. I'll be making $60,000 a year. That's not millions, but how do I practice what you talked about? Daniel, what do you need to live well? Graduate, I don't know, maybe $45,000 after taxes, rent, food, loan payments. Daniel, great. So commit to living on $45,000 and giving away the rest, $15,000 a year. That's $1,250 a month. You'll change lives. Graduate, but what about saving, building wealth? Daniel, do both. Save some, give some. The point isn't poverty, it's freedom. Prove to yourself that money doesn't own you by holding it loosely enough to release it. Graduate, what if I need it later? Daniel, you might, but you also might not. And in the meantime, you'll be investing in eternity. That's a portfolio that never crashes. She smiles, inspired. Graduate, thank you. I'm going to do it. Good. And 20 years from now, you'll look back and realize the money you gave away was the best money you ever spent. Part 8, the final word. Daniel at 65. The reflection. Daniel Hayes, 65, sits on the porch of his modest home. His wife, Rebecca, sits beside him. Their children are grown, serving in various ministries and nonprofits around the world. He's writing a letter to his grandchildren. Dear Emma, Joshua, and Sarah, when I was 34, I inherited $45 million. I'm 65 now, and I want to tell you what I did with it and why. I kept $5 million, gave away $40 million, and lived one of the richest lives imaginable. Not rich in money, I'm comfortable, not wealthy, but rich in purpose, rich in joy, rich in relationships, rich in the knowledge that my life mattered. That $40 million built homeless shelters, funded scholarships, drilled wells, restored prisoners, and changed thousands of lives. It multiplied in ways I never could have imagined. But more importantly, it changed me. Before the inheritance, I was climbing, chasing, striving, never satisfied. The inheritance forced me to ask, what do I actually want? And I realized, I wanted to matter. I wanted my life to count for something. Money couldn't give me that, but giving money away did. Jesus said you can't serve both God and money. I tried. For 5 days after the inheritance, I tried to serve both, and it nearly destroyed me. But then I asked a simple question. What would Jesus do? And the answer changed everything. He'd hold it loosely, give it freely, invest in eternity. So I did. And now, 31 years later, I can tell you with absolute certainty, I made the right choice. When I die, I'll leave you very little money. I'm sorry if that disappoints you, but I'm leaving you something far more valuable, a legacy of generosity. You come from a family that believes wealth is a tool, not a trophy. That believes generosity is the path to joy. That believes treasure in heaven beats treasure on earth every single time. That's your inheritance, not money, a way of life. Use it well. All my love, Grandpa Daniel. He folds the letter, sets it aside. Rebecca takes his hand. Any regrets? Not one. You? I married a man who chose purpose over profit. How could I regret that? They sit in comfortable silence, watching the sunset. Daniel thinks about the rich young ruler, the man who walked away from Jesus because he couldn't let go of his wealth. And he whispers a prayer. Thank you for not letting me be him. Thank you for showing me the narrow path. Thank you for teaching me that you can't outgive God. The sun sets, the day ends. A life well lived continues. The Margaret Hayes Foundation, 50 years later. Daniel's grandson, Joshua Hayes, 28, runs the foundation now. It's been 50 years since Daniel first established it. The original $40 million has inspired over $500 million in additional giving from others who caught the vision. Thousands of lives changed, generations transformed. And it all started with one choice: generosity over greed. Joshua stands in the foundation's office, looking at a plaque on the wall. Money is a tool, not a trophy. Use it to build something that outlasts you. Margaret Hayes. Below it, another plaque. I kept $5 million and gave away $40 million. Best investment I ever made. Daniel Hayes, founder. Joshua smiles. The legacy continues. In a world obsessed with accumulation, Jesus asks a radical question. What does it profit someone to gain the whole world but lose their soul? The rich young ruler walked away from Jesus because he loved his wealth more than freedom. The widow gave 2 coins and received eternal honor. Zacchaeus gave away half and found salvation. And Daniel Hayes inherited $45 million and chose to build treasure in heaven instead of bigger barns on earth. Money is the ultimate revealer. It shows what you worship, what you trust, what you value. You can spend your life accumulating bigger houses, larger portfolios, more security, and you'll die surrounded by wealth but empty of meaning. Or you can hold it loosely, give it freely, invest in eternity, and discover that generosity is the secret to joy. Jesus didn't condemn wealth, he condemned being owned by it. The question isn't, how much do you have? The question is, how much has you? Because at the end of your life, you won't regret the money you gave away. You'll only regret the money you hoarded. You can't take it with you, but you can send it ahead. What would Jesus do with your wealth? He'd invest it in eternity, knowing that treasure in heaven beats treasure on earth every single time. Discussion questions for groups. 1. If you inherited $45 million tomorrow, what would you honestly do with it? 2. What's the difference between owning money and being owned by money? Which describes you? 3. Jesus told the rich young ruler to sell everything. Does that apply to us? Why or why not? 4. What does enough look like for you? How much do you actually need? 5. The widow gave 2 coins, everything she had. What would giving everything look like in your context? 6. Daniel kept $5 million and gave away $40 million. What percentage feels right for you? 7. What keeps you from being more generous? Fear? Greed? Uncertainty? 8. How can you store up treasure in heaven practically this week? 9. What would it take to prove money doesn't own you? 10. If you died today, what would your bank statement say about what you valued?